take a look at the login CSS code. The first element we have here is login container, which is the outermost part of the login page. You can think of it as the box that wraps everything inside. I have made some necessary changes to the files you see on the screen. We will go through all that code later, but for now, let's first complete reviewing the login CSS code. To help you understand it better, I will also show you the login page simultaneously. We are using Flexbox to center everything. Flex direction is used to arrange the elements vertically, and align items and justify content, make sure they're perfectly centered. Height. 100 Vs makes this container take up the entire screen height. We have used this linear gradient in the background. It transitions diagonally across 3 colors: dark purple, lighter purple, and white. We also have added overflow, hidden to prevent any accidental scrolling. This way, the page stays nice and clean. To make this gradient feel alive, we have added an animation to shift the gradient. Here's the magic. The keyframes create movement by shifting the gradient's position from one side to the other. To make this work, we increase the background size to 200%. So there's enough room for the gradient to flow smoothly. And then finally, the animation runs this transition over 8 seconds, looping forever. It's seamless and adds a nice modern feel to the page. Now let's talk about the title inside the container. Here's what we did to this login text. We used the font Poppins, which gives it a sleek and modern look. The color is a soft purple, subtle and elegant. I also added a text shadow to make the title pop a little. It's not overpowering, just enough to give a touch of depth. This is the actual form where users enter their email and password. It's designed to look neat and professional. Let's see what's happening here. I hope you all are aware of where this login container form is coming from. The login container class we are styling here is actually defined and initialized in the login.js file, and the form is placed inside this login container class. That's why we are using login container form here, to specifically style the form within this container. Flexbox again. Flex direction, column stacks the form fields, and gap. 15 pixels ensures there's consistent spacing between them. We have limited the width to 400 pixels, so it doesn't stretch too wide, keeping it user-friendly. The background is a semi-transparent white, which blends beautifully with the gradient behind it. Oh, and the box shadow? That gives it a slight floating effect, classy and modern. Next up, the input fields. These are styled to be clean and easy to use. We used a transparent background so the inputs blend with the overall theme. Rounded corners, border radius 10 pixels, make them softer and more approachable. The text is white, keeping it readable and consistent with the page's color scheme. And that transition, it makes the focus effect smoother. When a user clicks on an input field, it slightly changes the background and adds a border due to this code. Now, the button. This is where we add some flair. It has a gradient background, similar to the container, but with sharper tones. We're giving the button 12 pixel padding, which adds space inside the button around the text. The text color is white, so it contrasts well against the vibrant background. The cursor pointer ensures that when you hover over the button, the mouse pointer changes to the hand icon, indicating it's clickable. When you hover, the gradient reverses, and the button lifts up slightly with a shadow. Let's talk about the placeholder inside input fields. This code is specifically targeting the text that shows up when an input field is empty, like the username or password. Now, this part is for adding a decorative glowing element inside the login container. Let me explain how it works. Content. This is required for pseudo elements like double-colon before. Even though it doesn't add visible content, it lets us apply styles like size and background. Position. Absolute. The element is positioned absolutely inside the login container. This means its placement is relative to the container's edges. Width, 100 pixels. Height 100 pixels. The glowing circle is 100 by 100 pixels in size. The background is a radial gradient, which starts as semi-transparent white in the center and fades to fully transparent at the edges. This creates a soft glow effect. The pulse animation makes the element grow and shrink in size, while subtly changing opacity. Let's start with the app.js file, which serves as the main entry point for setting up the routes and navigation in your React application. First, we're importing React to create our component. Then, we bring in routes, route, and navigate from React Router DOM. These are used for handling navigation in the app. We also import two components, dashboard and login, which represent different pages of our app. Lastly, we import app.css to style the application. Here, we're defining a functional component app. Inside it, we wrap everything in a div tag with a class name app. The routes component is like a container for all the defined routes in your app. Think of it as the manager that decides which component should be shown based on the URL. The first route ensures that if someone visits the route path, they are automatically redirected to the login page. The navigate component handles this redirection, and the replace prop ensures the browser doesn't save the old route in its history. This route specifies that when the URL is /login page, the login component will be rendered. This is where users land to log into the app. This route handles the admin panel of the application. When the URL is /admin panel or anything nested within it, indicated by \*, the dashboard component is displayed. The dashboard itself could have further nested routes to handle different sections of the admin panel. This is the fallback route. If someone enters a URL that doesn't match any of the defined paths, they will be redirected to the login page. It's a safety net to ensure users don't end up on a 404 page not found. Finally, we export the app component so it can be used in the main index.js file to render the app into the DOM. Let's see this app CSS code. This class is declared and initialized in the main div tag in app.js file. Its job is to set up the layout and appearance of the entire application container. The height, 100 VH, ensures the app container stretches to fill the entire height of the viewport. That's the visible area of your browser window. This means no matter the device or screen size, app will always cover the full vertical space. By adding display flex, we are turning app into a flex container. This allows us to use Flexbox properties to control how its child elements, like routes or other content, are laid out. With flex direction, column, the child elements are stacked vertically, one on top of the other. The overflow X, hidden, makes sure that no horizontal scroll bars appear. This is especially useful if some child elements, like wide images or content, accidentally overflow horizontally. It just hides that extra content to keep the page clean and centered. Now we will see index.js file code. First, we import React, the core library for creating components, and React DOM is used to render our React app into the actual DOM, document object model. After this, we import the app component, which is the main component of our app and holds all the routes and logic. Browser router is from React Router DOM and is responsible for enabling navigation in the app. Think of it as the engine that makes routing work. Finally, we import an index.css file to style the app globally. Here, we're finding the div tag with the ID root in your index.html file. You can check your index.html file, which has got created along with project by default, and there is no need of changes in this file. Then we create a React root using React DOM create root function and attach our React app to this element. So the root is like the container for the entire app. This is where the magic happens. We're telling React to render the app component inside the root. But before rendering the app, we wrap it in browser router tag. Do you know why do we need the browser router? The browser router is what enables routing in your app. It keeps track of the URL and helps the app display the correct page or component based on the current route. Without it, navigation wouldn't work.
Let's take a look at the dashboard.js code. Here, we have not written the complete code for the dashboard yet because we will focus on the login functionality first. Once that's done, we'll move on to creating the full code for the dashboard, along with other pages and components. Here, we're importing React because the dashboard page is written as a React component. We also import the CSS file, dashboard.css, which will style the dashboard page. The dashboard is written as a functional component that returns a div tag with the class name dashboard content. Right now, the page is mostly empty because the full code for the dashboard will be added later. This dashboard CSS file applies styles specifically to the dashboard content class that's used in the dashboard.js file. The background of the dashboard page is a light purple color, which gives it a clean, soft, and friendly look. This overflow X: hidden hides horizontal scroll bars, making sure that the page doesn't scroll sideways, even if some content overflows horizontally. We have kept this code minimal for now, but it will be expanded in the upcoming videos.
Here we have completed the code for the login functionality. Let's check if, upon clicking the login button, we land on the dashboard page. And yes, we've successfully landed on the dashboard page.